Welcome to the newest installment of the Untitled Film Nerd Project. My name is Philip, and joining me as always is TJ.
Hello.
We continue on with our 5th annual 31 Days of Horror, where we watch a different horror movie every single night in October. Today marks day 8, and our movie for tonight was Summer of '84. Before we get into it, spoiler warning now. If you want to avoid spoilers, skip ahead to the time code you see on the screen. Let's jump right into cast and crew rundown. This was directed by a trio of people. They're all French, I assume, maybe French-Canadian. We have Francois Simard and the brother and sister team of Anouk Wissel and yoann-karl Wissel. I butchered the names, I am so sorry. They are actually like a directing team. They call themselves RKSS, like Roadkill something squad or something like that. They've done something called Turbo Kid.
Yes.
Turbo Kid 2.
Okay.
This was written by a duo of Matt Leslie and Stephen J. Smith. And from what I can tell, this is their first actual movie that they wrote.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get into the actual cast. Davey was Graham Verche. He has been in The Good Doctor and Fargo, among many other TV stuff. Eats was Judah Lewis. We, of course, know him from The Babysitter.
That's where I knew him from. Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I didn't recognize him. I didn't.
Mm-hmm. He grew.
Yeah, when I saw the credits, I'm like, oh my god, that was you.
Mm-hmm.
Woody was Caleb Emery. He's been in lots of stuff. I guess only thing we'd be ever interested in was an episode of Scream Queens. Then we have Faraday, who was Corey Gruter-Andrew. He's been in some TV, most notably Fargo, Legends of Tomorrow, and he was in the movie Okja.
Okay, another one on my list.
Okja. I've never seen it, so I don't know how it's pronounced. The neighbor girl, Nikki, was Tierra Scoovby. Sorry if I'm butchering your name, ma'am. She has recurring roles on Riverdale and Once Upon a Time. Then we have Mackie. That was Richard Summer. He's been in Glow, Wet Hot American Summer 10 years later, and most people would know him from Mad Men. Then we have a couple minor roles. Davy's dad, Randall Armstrong, was Jason Gray Stanford. Most people will know him from Monk, the TV show, and way back in like 2000, 2001, he was in an episode of Queer as Folk, which I thought was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then the mom, Sheila Armstrong, was Shauna Johannesson. She's in that TV movie Bad Seed, and a bunch of random TV. That is cast and crew rundown, unless you have someone to add.
Nope.
Okay. Let's get into our initial thoughts. Pleasant surprise on my end.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't break the mold.
No.
But it did everything very solid.
Mm-hmm.
From acting, cinematography, music was really good.
Yeah, the score, that was like one of the most John Carpenter-ish scores I've heard in a long time.
Yeah, it was very much an homage to the 80s in all the right ways.
Mm-hmm.
And the plot played into that as well. Whereas today we'd be like, well, I would do this or this or this or this,
Mm-hmm.
to find out what was going on. Back in '84, we really couldn't. So it was very kind of true to the time. I was reading a couple reviews while I was waiting,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people compare it to Disturbia.
I can totally see that.
And of course, being in every '80s thing is compared to Stranger Things.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of bad ratings come from people who have just watched the trailer alone. I've not seen the trailer, so I don't know if it gives a different kind of vibe, or if it looks like a Stranger Things ripoff, even though I think technically this was written a year before Stranger Things even came out.
Mm-hmm.
So it predates that as far as I know. I don't think it's a fair comparison, because the movie has a lot more depth to it.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it was more engaging, I guess, than Disturbia. So I enjoyed it. It was very suspenseful. And
yes.
The payoff, it made sense.
Mm-hmm.
It was not insulting. And even the end, I was like, okay. It's one of those movies, like, it ended, and I'm like, okay, this isn't the happy ending.
No.
And I really enjoyed that. I liked that it opened it up for a sequel down the line if they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And overall, yeah, 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, this is one of those movies that it's very PG-13 horror all the way up until that ending, and then once that third act kicks in, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, This is straight up horror.
Yeah, that was another thing that people were upset about. It's not really a horror movie until the third act, which is fair.
Yeah.
It was like a Lovely Bones. It was a slow build. Are they or aren't they kind of thing.
Another thing that I liked was the bond that all the friends had.
Yeah.
It, and comparing it to Stranger Things, which, those kids in Stranger Things have a good, strong bond. I kind of felt the bond more amongst this group.
Yeah, they felt like friends and not actors who were picked to be friends.
And not only that, but just also their own personal struggles that they're going through. And, the movie just hints at those struggles and they lean on each other in their own way.
It's enough to give them depth, but not distract from the overall plot. Whereas Eats, his parents are, they're in an abusive relationship. Woody's mom looks like an alcoholic. Davy's parents seem okay. I don't think we really get to look at Faraday's parents, but they seem okay too. But yeah, Nikki, the next door neighbor girl, her parents are divorcing. And yeah, so there was enough there that they felt like actual people. And not just cardboard cutout characters. So yeah, anything else you want to add? You want to go to our breakdowns?
Breakdowns is fun.
Cool. What was your favorite scene?
Probably the beginning of the third act, once they were actually downstairs in the basement and they discovered the truth.
Okay, right.
And it was such good build-up leading up to it. Once they pulled back that curtain, it's like, oh shit.
Yeah. I will concur. That is also my favorite scene. It's not even just like a scene. It's like that 10 minutes of going into the house and then into the basement and the whole entire thing. And then everyone else is stationed somewhere. So Eats is somewhere and Faraday is somewhere. They're both all looking out. And then we get thrown the curveball. Oh, they're revamping the pier. That's why he has all the dirt. So, they kind of throw us that little red herring. Before then, as you said, the curtains pull back. Kind of literally. And we find out what's going on. I thought it was just kind of like, oh, okay, finally. Okay, we can breathe. We know what's going on. Okay, now what? Well, we knew what. We kind of knew. But it's like, how's this going to play out? All right, what was your holy shit moment?
Holy shit moment probably was the second part of the third act. When the cop, what's his name?
The one that's doing it? Mackie.
Okay. When he kidnaps the two and takes them to his dumping ground. And then that moment happens with Woody. And it's just, again, another realization that they're not going to make it out of this okay.
Yeah. It had kind of like a Goonies vibe where you thought they were safe. Movies like this, the group feels bulletproof.
Yeah, plot armor.
Yeah, like with Stranger Things, that whole entire group feels bulletproof. And I thought they were. So yeah, when what happened to Woody happened, I was like, oh shit. Okay, this kind of got real. That's up there. But since you said that one, I'm gonna go with a different one. I loved the scene when he realized that all the photos on the wall were of all the victims, and that his family was next. I thought that was so clever. Because I gasped. I was like, oh shit. Well done. They did a really good job of building him as the killer, whereas guilt was just right there, but they still made you kind of maybe question it.
Yeah. Even when they were going down in the basement, I was expecting it's like, okay, are we going to find out that it's actually the kid's kid's dad is the killer? Yeah, I was still questioning it up to the pulling back the curtain part.
I thought that maybe either Nikki or Woody maybe could have been in it somehow. Because especially when Nikki just showed up, I was like, okay, why are you here?
And even the comment of Woody, that joke comment of you look 45. I was like, well, he could technically be killing people. Yes,
because he looks 30. So yeah, I thought it was Nikki there for a second. Because like, why are you all of a sudden there? And you're being like super nice. I was like, is this like the Babysitter 2? Just with Babysitter 1 guy sitting on a bench, keep an eye out for you. So yeah, that was my holy shit moment. But also yours is also right there as well. If any mediocre moment.
For me, it was some of the pacing.
Okay, yeah.
Because while everything that I think transpired was important to the plot and important to the tension to carry the movie along,
Hmm.
there was some of that flow that I was bored.
I will agree with that. I will say that it was very slow for the first 45 minutes.
Hmm.
Half hour, 45 minutes. I wasn't bored. That's pretty much it for me as well. I think the first half hour could have been tweaked a little bit.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm not saying go like full bore with it. Don't, overkill. Don't do that. But I also think you could have, this was an hour and 45 minutes long. You could have shaved 10 minutes off, 10 minutes off, or tweaked here and there and kept the length.
Hmm.
Maybe an hour and 40 minutes, cut 5 minutes out here and there. I think it would have flowed a lot better. If any, LOL moment.
There was that entire comment about Woody looking like he was 30, but
Right.
I think one of them for me was when they were first researching and they're at the library and that nerdy kid was just going so slow
Yeah.
through the newspaper. He's like, "You're not going to break the damn thing."
Yeah. That was good. I liked the line, or like the scene where Nikki caught Davy spying on her. Or caught, like, they all ducked, but he didn't, and she saw him. And then he, like, gets pulled down. He's like, I'm so fucked. That made me laugh. And then when they broke into the house of the people that were on vacation, and they ran into Nikki, and she confirmed that they had been hanging out and he wasn't lying. And they started worshiping him. And the one guy's like, can I get a picture of you for my shrine? That was pretty funny. Anything else? You want to go to my notes?
Notes is fine.
Let's go to Philip's notes. I was looking for motive, and I think I found it. I had to call back to the beginning of my notes to pinpoint it, because when I was waiting, I was thinking about it. And I was kind of annoyed at first. I was like, he's just killing teenage boys because there's no motive here. And then I thought about it. I was like, wait, yeah, there is actually. So the very first note I have is where Mackie says, he's like, how old are you? And he's like, 15. And he's like, 15's the perfect age. I wish I could just freeze it for you.
Hmm.
I wrote eek in quotation marks, like eek. But when we found out what we found out at the end, where his room was downstairs in the basement, either where he lived or recreated, we never found out. I think something happened to him in the ages of 12 to 16, and that's why he's targeting kids that age. I think that he recreated his room to recreate
What happened to him?
Yeah, or the time before it got bad. Because it looked like a 10 to 12-year-old's room.
Mm-hmm.
So I think something really bad happened to him, and it messed with his head. It fucked him up. And then something in him snapped, and that's why he targets just 12 to 16-year-olds. Because that's the time in his life that was completely fucked, and if his life was fucked, then he needs to fuck up other people's lives as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's my theory on his motive.
I think it's an excellent theory.
Oh, I said that Davey took Weekly World News a bit too seriously. I enjoy a good conspiracy, but I'm like, dude, come on.
Yeah, you need to calm down.
Yeah, just bring it down a few. It's not the news. The news isn't the news, but anyway, that's neither nor there. The group consisted of the overweight one, the geek, the wannabe badass, and the regular one. I guess you have to hit all your Goonies pegs.
Yeah, they definitely did, on the surface, fit the stereotypes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, even then, they subverted them later on. So, and then when they're going through Mackie's trash, I'm thinking, because the neighbors wouldn't see 4 kids at midnight going through somebody's trash, they wouldn't hear that.
After growing up around that age on a cul-de-sac, in some ways I can totally see that. Some ways. Aside from the noise that would be being created.
Yeah, because they were talking very loudly.
Yeah.
They weren't whispering, so. Later on, Nikki knocks on the door. It's pretty much, hi, I'm the hot neighbor girl. I'm just going to walk into your house and raid your fridge. So I guess that's like hot neighbor girl powers. You can just do that.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I'll come back reincarnated as hot neighbor girl so I can just walk into somebody's house and grab a Pepsi. When the one kid that got snatched heard Mackie behind him and was running, and then he stopped. I wrote, don't stop running.
Yeah.
Keep running. Why would you stop? His car happened to be right there. No, keep running. That annoys me.
I mean, at that point, I would run up to the next house and start beating on the window or something. Anything to create noise and draw attention.
Yep. especially in 1984 when there's nothing else you can do.
Mm-hmm.
When Mackie gives them all freezy pops, I thought the children were rude. Say thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you look at the way he's looking at them, it's with disdain. It's with disgust.
Mm-hmm.
He either hates children and pretends to like them and then covets that 12 to 16-year-old age. But there's never any sexual vibe from him either. So I stand by my original motive. I don't think he liked kids until they hit that age. And then when they were like adolescents, that's when it triggered for him. And then, an hour in, we got what could have been a kind of resolution when Davey told his parents and then he had to go apologize. This is going to get interesting now because now Mackie knows that they know.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the bit where he dialed his own phone number.
And another moment of what I thought was really good tension was when Mackie caught him spying on him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he went to look again through the window and saw that the walkie that he left over on Mackie's property, Mackie had put it on the windowsill.
Yep. It was pretty much when he dialed his own number. I was like, okay, you're guilty. You have to be guilty.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mackie says another double entendre line when he comes to that house, and he's like, sorry, you're grounded. So he says, I'm sorry again that you're grounded. I'm going to do everything I can to get you out of this house.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, ooh, that was a cold line. He delivered it real nice, but man, in context or out of context, whew.
And I have to say kudos to that actor that played Mackie. He played that oozing niceness, but you could just tell that there's something underneath that.
Yeah, like the mask he was wearing. Because then I wrote, after the phone part, it kind of has to be him. Because any swerve now would not feel earned.
Mm-hmm.
If it was Nikki or if it was Woody, it wouldn't have felt as satisfying. When they were going into Mackie's house, in our favorite scene, I wrote, stop walking so fucking slow.
Mm-hmm.
Hurry up to the basement. And I did like that they got out. Because, of course, we're waiting for Mackie to show up right behind them. And didn't happen. So I did appreciate another trope that was subverted.
Yeah.
They got the footage and they took it to the police. And then I loved what happened with Mackie after that. When they were looking for him. I was like, that was a minor holy shit moment. When they were keeping a watch, though, while Davey and Woody and Nikki were breaking into the basement, it got dark in one scene.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 8 p.m., 7 p.m., 6 p.m., daylight. And then 2 scenes later, it was pitch black. I don't like that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because we cut to Eats sitting on the bench. And then we cut to somebody else, and we cut back to Eats, and it's dark. I didn't care for that. Yeah, and then the resolution, again, when he takes the tape to the police, there was 20 minutes left in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't over, because there's 20 minutes left. Something's going to happen. I also thought, if Mackie is missing and your family is next, maybe don't leave your son sitting outside alone.
Yeah.
They're giving their statements. Well, go back inside. You were next. Then I wrote, dude was in the attic with like 3 exclamation points. It's like, oh my God. I thought it was really, really clever. But then...
Yes, especially since they had already kind of threw a call... they threw it in earlier that... I think it was even at the beginning when Mackie was talking to him and telling him, I remember taking a bike up to your attic, helping your dad take something up to the attic.
Right. Yeah, I forgot about that. But then Mackie got both Woody and Davey out of the house quietly. I'm not trying to shame anybody, but Woody was a large kid.
I think the smarter thing to have done for that was if they would have revealed that he had killed the boy's parents.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yep, I agree.
And it really would have upped the ante again of just what it was we were watching.
Right, yeah. I think it could have went a little farther, but didn't. But then again, if he's obsessed with the adolescent age, him killing an adult wouldn't make much sense because he wouldn't have as much power or control. Mm-hmm. So I can kind of see why they didn't as well. And then I thought the end where he took him to the island and was doing the whole manhunt with them was a little over the top. Because I kind of thought, wouldn't he just kill them?
Mm-hmm.
They're knocked out. Kill them, dump them in your spot. You're free to go, a la other movie that was unsatisfying. And then I like the the speech that he gave him, he's pretty much like, oh, one day I'll come for you.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll be looking over your shoulder until I do. I'm going to let you go, but I'm going to hunt you down, and you will not see me coming, but I'm coming for you. You just will not know when. And I thought, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of killing the kid, he is just psychologically destroying him, which we got, like, the scene after.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then he's riding the bike, and you could tell he's not, he's very nervous. And, yeah, that's all for my notes.
And as far as I could tell from that scene, he was no longer friends with the other two boys.
Yeah, I thought that was weird and sad.
Mm-hmm.
They could kind of blame him for Woody being killed.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it made sense. So, yeah.
And I guess something happened at Eat's house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was odd.
Mm-hmm. And the girl moved away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all these things were happening at once. So, like, yeah, his entire innocence of being a kid was just kind of shattered.
Mm-hmm.
He lost his potential girl. He lost his friends. He lost his just safety.
Mm-hmm.
His peace of mind is gone. With all that happening in the last scene, just shows how much success the movie had in building up to that.
Yeah.
Through the climax, through the crescendo, through all of it, and this is what happens on the other side. This is not a happy ending.
Mm-hmm.
Really, for anybody. It looked like Woody's mom moved away with good cause. And then everything else that you said happened. So, yeah. They may have survived. Well, 3 of the 4 of them may have survived, but it's not a happy ending. Kudos to the writers for that.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all for my notes. Anything else you'd like to add? You want to go to final thoughts?
Final thoughts is fine.
Let's go to final thoughts. I'll let you go ahead and go first.
Just overall, I would definitely recommend this movie. Although I would throw in a warning that it is slow-paced, but to stick it through to the end. Also, phenomenal score. Mm-hmm. Good acting.
Yes.
Good cinematography.
Mm-hmm.
Shots are all good. Yeah. So, yeah, it was a very satisfying movie.
It was a very solid and tightly done movie.
Mm-hmm.
The nitpicks are little tiny nitpicks here and there. But from a technical standpoint, I saw nothing wrong with it. Mm-hmm. Maybe, like we said, the pacing, but even then, maybe that's just us nitpicking a little bit. Because it paced itself to pay off on the end. Mm-hmm. So I get the pacing. But, yeah, definitely recommend it. Another sleeper hit. And if people out there have gotten this far and have judged the movie just on the trailer, I'd say don't. It's not what it appears to be. It's a lot more than just a Disturbia meets Stranger Things knockoff. It has its own pulse and its own thing going on. So give it a shot. Just be prepared to be patient for about a half hour as we are world building and character building. All right, that takes care of final thoughts. But before we go, as it pertains to Summer of '84, what did we learn?
Just that, exactly what they kind of pointed out. You never know what's going on in the suburbs.
Yep, a serial killer could be living right next door. Well, that wraps up day 8. Thank you for listening. If you've seen Summer of '84, tell us what you thought of the movie in the comments below. What did you think? If you liked the video, please hit the like button, share it with your friends or cool people who might dig the Vizcast. And please subscribe to the channel, including hitting that notification bell to stay up to date on the newest content. Speaking of, for day 9, we'll be watching Hell House LLC, Part 2. I believe we watched Part 1 during last year's 31 Days of Horror.
Yep.
So, it's going to be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, which, from what I remember, I think we both liked the first one.
Yeah, it was a sleeper hit for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe it was either on the tops or honorable mentions on our top 5 video as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, that will be tomorrow. So until tomorrow, once again, my name is Philip.
And I'm TJ.
And we'll return then to talk about Hell House LLC. Goodbye.
Bye.